Boy, was there some fascinating news out of Evergreen this week. So for for those of you who are somehow watching this and don't know that we were tenured at Evergreen for, well, we were professors at Evergreen for 15 and 14 years, respectively, and left in 2017 under some duress. Since then, Evergreen has been tanking, and the President Bridges, who brought the whole situation in 2017 to fruition, he really created it. That was his baby, that was his project, and he'll never admit to it, but he did create it. He said, I don't know exactly when, late last year or something, I'm done. I've done my work. I'm going to go back to the faculty and teach. And they've been running a presidential search. And for those of you not in academia, high-level searches, administrative searches in academia are big, long, drawn-out processes. And in this case, there's a consulting firm, which has become the thing. And it's a long list of people on the search committee and all of this. But this came out this week, that all 3 finalists to be president of the Evergreen State College withdraw from process. And it says it's a year-long process that it's been already. This is stunning. Like, this has been apparently a year-long process. Zach, if I can have my screen back, thank you. This has been a year-long process by which they had, I forgot, it was like 60-something applications, which is pretty low for a college presidency. And they apparently interviewed 7 semi-finalists and then brought 3, I think, to campus, although I'm not totally sure it wasn't entirely virtual. Usually, even for a faculty position, you'd have a 2 or 3 day interview on campus and meet with the various committees. And for president or for VP position, you'd basically have open Q&A sessions with like faculty and with staff and with students maybe as well. And to have gotten to this stage and have already been interviewed and to have all 3 finalists step down is extraordinary. I've never heard of anything like it. And according to Benjamin Boyce, who many people will be familiar with, who was a student at Evergreen at the time and has been careful and adamant and persistent in his pursuit of truth in terms of what is actually going on at Evergreen in the aftermath, as well as on a number of other subjects. He says in a tweet following this reveal, quote, "They've now got an interim provost, last one quit, interim VP of diversity, equity and inclusion, last one quit, interim dean of student affairs, last one quit, and we'll need an interim financial VP, current one leaving." So this is not going well. I want to read a couple of paragraphs. Just as a little bit inside baseball here. I kind of apologize, but I kind of don't. But I want to read a couple of paragraphs from a piece that I wrote in 2019 called "On College Presidents." It's an invited scholarly piece in, let's see, I think I've just lost Zach, so I can't have him show this. So I'm just going to read these couple of paragraphs from my piece from a couple years ago. "Perhaps the worst set of fiscal decisions made at Evergreen involves administrative bloat. In 2015, there were 4 college divisions: academics, student affairs, finance and administration, and advancement. By early 2018, Bridges had increased that to 7, adding diversity and inclusion, indigenous arts and education, and college relations. The first 2 of these can best be understood as social justice divisions, or pandering to same. The third is public relations. Academics was further weakened when the newly hired diversity and inclusion vice president was appointed vice provost, a position newly created and ill-defined. The near ubiquity of diversity officers now on campuses should itself be questioned, as new research finds that their presence has no effect on the hiring of other people of color on campuses where they serve." It's just a parenthetical in my piece. Having done all this, on May 14th, 2018, Bridges announced that in service of a leaner budget and in order to consolidate activity across divisions, student affairs would be disappeared, mostly subsumed within diversity and inclusion, and academics would be further weakened by the addition of yet another vice provost, and finance and administration would receive new leadership, none other than Bridges' former chief of staff, who was hired without a search, thus further eroding faculty and staff input to administrative decisions. In short, the administrative legacy of this president, again, this is from 2.5 years ago now I'm writing, is to extinguish or substantively disempower 3 of 4 previous college divisions, create 3 new ones of dubious value, staffed with people likely to be loyal to him personally, all while making the unverified claim that the restructuring of the administration is a response to the fiscal crisis. So here, are you back, Zach? Okay, you can show my screen here. Here's the prospectus that I find, the recruitment announcement for the president of Evergreen. It's glossy. It almost looks like the school has it going on. And on page 3, we have a list of the board of trustees currently at Evergreen, the executive officers, which is to say the president and VPs, and the search committee. There's a lot to say about this page, but the thing I want to draw our attention to is that we have under executive officers, 1 president, George Bridges, and 6 now divisions of the college. I don't know what, I have not been able to figure out exactly what has happened. There were 7 when I was writing 2.5 years ago. And indeed, the personal acquaintance of Bridges is second listed here. John Carmichael is vice president for finance and operations. We have college relations here. We have advancement, which was already a thing. And we have the vice president of indigenous arts, education, and tribal relations. And right in the middle of the list are interim provost, and vice president for student and academic life. Academics has been reduced to an adjective. Academics, last I checked, was one of maybe the main function of a university, or at least one of 2 main functions, and everything else has to come later, right? It's academics, which is to say we are pursuing truth and knowledge and art and beauty and analysis and clarity. And it's the students, right? So the students, the student affairs branch of the college was combined with academics, and then later on, academics itself was demoted even within the position that exists for academics. The next one down here is the interim vice president for inclusive excellence and student success. And Zach, you can take my screen off here for a moment so I can say, wow, I read that and I thought, inclusive excellence and student success, that sounds like a euphemism to me. So I went looking to see if that was indeed a renaming of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and indeed it is, which I found when I searched on the first VP of diversity, equity, and inclusion at Evergreen, who was just hired in 2017. Well, she's gone.
Yep.
And she has on her LinkedIn page, Zach, you can show, that her position started as vice president and vice provost for equity and inclusion in 2017, and then it was changed to vice president for inclusive excellence and student success 1 year later. So this renaming of things in order to obscure what is actually going on, I feel like this is a known tactic and nothing good goes down that road. Like inclusive, what is it again? Inclusive
excellence.
Inclusive excellence and student success.
Student success. I mean,
surely
you're not against student success.
Who am I to want students to fail?
Right.
Right.
And no, you of all people, you should be ashamed of yourself.
And don't we know that academics have sometimes been fascists? And therefore, anyone who is speaking on behalf of academics is probably a fascist themselves.
Oh, my goodness. Yes. Did you know that academics and academy share the same root? Shocking.
Yeah.
So, this is all rather incredible. In addition, I mean, I think it's clear that if any of these folks had stuck it out, they'd have the job, right?
Yeah.
So
none of them wanted the job. Having seen the place.
Well, but
sorry.
But let's point out what that actually means, because these are people who wanted such a job enough to apply, right, and to endure the process, which is not simple or easy or straightforward. So they got to this stage thinking that they would still want the job. Presumably they all have access to Google and they know something about the place that they would have been walking into. But the job is a pretty good job from the point of view of the perks. I mean, it pays very well. As I recall,
it comes with a waterfront house,
right? It comes with a beautiful house on the waterfront in the Puget Sound, a beautiful office overlooking a lovely campus. Right? It's not a bad job except for what you have to do, and so, but
there's always something.
There's always something, and I think it is. I mean, I don't want to guess, but I've watched Benjamin's analysis of this, and it sure looks like what happened is that the faculty were uncollegial, is the euphemism being used. I think that they were probably kind of vicious in trying to ensure that whoever took the job would sign up for the bogus story that the woke among them have been spreading about what happened at Evergreen, which is that what happened at Evergreen was Evergreen was attacked by alt-right, this, that, and the other, rather than those very people misled students who, in partnership with the president, sank the place.
I've got another thing to read to you then. This is
All right.
exactly apropos from, again, and I have just two more excerpts really to read from this on college presidents piece that was published a couple years ago that I wrote. Quote, "In the months leading up to the protests, President Bridges pandered to the protesters, privately blamed lack of action on his provost, while his provost was equally certain that it was the president who needed to act, and tried to silence dissent within the college by offering goodies to those who were speaking out in exchange for their silence. Further, you never took those goodies.
No, I didn't.
Furthermore, he empowered social justice faculty by allowing them to push through policy changes, strong-arm their critics, and make slanderous claims against other faculty with no correction or follow-up. For months, social justice faculty wrote nasty and often epithet-filled emails directed at Bret Weinstein because he questioned the way the college was being run, after which several dozen faculty demanded an investigation of him for the mortal sin of accepting an invitation to appear on Fox News. They had become faculty trolls hiding under bridges." I was pretty pleased with that line when I wrote it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So you could argue that academics has long been subsumed under academics at this college, right? I mean, certainly that was what was happening back in 2017. But I mean, just to follow up on what you just said, who would want that job? And what must have happened? They like you say, they all have access to Google. Like, what possible reason would they have had to not expose themselves to at least both sides of the story with regard to what was going on at Evergreen before applying to such a job? Like, could they really have thought that even if the people who are currently driving the school into the ground are utterly wrong, and they are, about their story, about what is happening, that somehow they could walk in and save the place? Because they're still in charge. The yahoos who made 2017 happen are still in charge, with the exception of the outgoing president, who said, "Yeah, my job here is done. I'm leaving."
Well, so, I mean, I don't know how to describe what I suspect happened based on knowing the players that we still know there.
Yeah.
But I have the sense that this is really a demonstration. We said early on in the meltdown of Evergreen that the lesson of it was that the place was proving itself incapable of learning, right? Instead of recognizing that something must have gone wrong in order for what happened to happen and to change course, right? It kept doubling down, right? It kept doubling down. It said, not only were we not wrong, but we were righter than we ever knew. And it kept putting its foot on the gas, right?
Yeah.
So the point is, having done that, to the point that the college is now down below 50% of its students. Apparently, it's completely hemorrhaging all of its administrators, right? After having done all of that, the small number of faculty who made this happen, I think they're just hoping against hope that they can control the story until it finally exhausts and something turns around, which won't happen. But my guess is what these candidates encountered was a faculty that wanted to control what this new incoming person agreed took place in 2017, which would then tie their hands with respect to doing anything about it. Because if you were going to do something right and rescue the college, you would first have to acknowledge that whatever happened in 2017 it did not work out for the best. And having acknowledged that, the people who made it happen would be back on their heels. So my guess is they're not going to find anybody tolerable who could actually do the job.
Yeah, I think that's right. So let me just read the last 3 short paragraphs of this piece that I wrote on college presidents. This piece that I was invited to write and was published in 2019. You may show my screen if you like, Zach. Abraham Flexner, the founder of Princeton's Institute for Advanced Study, wrote extensively on, quote, the usefulness of useless knowledge, and in 1939, with regard to Germany and Italy, wrote, universities have been so reorganized that they have become tools of those who believe in a special political, economic, or racial creed. Now and then a thoughtless individual in one of the few democracies left in this world will even question the fundamental importance of absolutely untrammeled academic freedom. The real enemy of the human race is not the fearless and irresponsible thinker, be he right or wrong. The real enemy is the man who tries to mold the human spirit so that it will not dare to spread its wings. So I then finish off the piece by saying, we need look forward rather than back, but we arrived here on the shoulders of giants and we ought to learn from them. In 1871, at his inauguration as the president of the University of Michigan, James B. Angell, who has been credited with overseeing Michigan's transformation into an elite public university, gave a speech that is still worthy of our consideration. Angell argued that an institution should, quote, never insist on the faculty pronouncing the shibboleths of sect or party. All modern institutions should heed his words well. So Evergreen is one giant shibboleth test, and so too are many colleges and universities following its insane lead. And where are all the universities that could win a honorable academic contest who are standing up and saying, not here, not now, not in my name? Where are they?
Yeah. No, well, this goes back to 0 being a special number, right? It has to be 0 or else things would turn around. So somehow we are stuck.
Which job would you prefer? President of Evergreen or mayor of Portland? At this point, mayor of Portland. Yeah, 100%. I don't want either job. But
yeah, but Portland is probably savable.
Yeah, I think Portland is savable, and I don't, this makes me less sad with every passing week, and that itself makes me sad. But I don't think Evergreen is savable at this point. I mean, given this news from this week, for God's sake, what are they doing?
Let's put it this way. The only reason it still exists is that there have been huge infusions of cash to get it through the lean times, and it's not behaving in a way that will get itself out of the ditch.